I am so happy that they are in the works or talking about banning international students because as a student who's applying to medical school soon, I already know that even so many just public and private universities in Los Angeles and California, so many middle class and low income students, like we lose our spots to super rich foreign kids.
So, as a doctor, I'm going to offer you a piece of free advice. Whether you choose to take it is entirely up to you. But stop this. I'm going to tell you a story. I came from a low income family, and the first time I applied into medical school, I didn't get in. I applied to over 20 medical schools and was rejected from all of them, and obviously that was very disappointing. I was very angry and upset and dejected and crestfallen, whatever adjective you want to use. And I remember talking to my dad about it, and he said, "Well, Eric, you realize the reason you didn't get into medical school it's because you're a white straight man." He thought I was straight at the time. He said, "You are a white straight man in America, and the system is stacked against you." And he didn't blame DEI because it didn't exist, but he blamed the equivalent Republican boogeyman at the time, which was affirmative action. He said it's because of that affirmative action shit that they are always going to pick an immigrant or a minority over a straight white man from America. It's just the way it works, so tough luck, buddy. Now, I could have listened to my dad. I could have said, you know what, you're right. The reason I didn't get into medical school is because of affirmative action. It's because of some minority or some immigrant took my spot, the spot that I worked so hard for. But I didn't do that. One, because it's just absolute bullshit and it's not true. And two, complaining about that was not going to get me into medical school at all. No, what I had to do is I had to have a really hard conversation with myself. I had to ask myself, why didn't I get into medical school? What could I have done better to make myself a more competitive candidate? And after some soul searching, I realized that I just really wasn't that competitive when I applied. I was not ready. I shouldn't have applied. And that was a tough conversation to have, but it forced me to do better. So I retook my MCATs, I got into grad school, I took med school courses there, I worked my ass off to get a 4.0 GPA, I met with the dean of admissions at the med school I wanted to go to frequently to talk about how to make myself a better candidate, and then I applied early decision and I got in. And I'm a doctor now. For the last 10 years, I've been a doctor. But you gotta stop blaming every disappointment in your life on minorities or DEI because it's not gonna help. And let me tell you, getting into med school, that's the easy part. It's just the start of a very, very long and arduous journey to becoming a doctor, and then that journey only gets more arduous once you are a doctor. And I'm going to tell you right now, that journey is rife with disappointment. You will be disappointed, whether it's you don't get into your top residency choice, you don't get picked for chief resident, you don't get into your top fellowship, you don't get accepted for an abstract or a paper that you submit your research to or a conference, you don't get up for a promotion. There are going to be lots of disappointments. And if you keep blaming them on DEI and minorities and immigrants, you're never going to grow. You're never going to learn. You're never going to push yourself to be a better person and a better physician. And that's not good. So stop this. Just my 2 cents.